Hi guys, so this is my channel. I'm a teen mom, so this is just my journey and experience on what I had to overcome and the difficulties, the challenges, the stressfulness, because trust me, there was a lot of stress, and then just also all the joy, laughter, and happiness that came along with it. This is my story when I was pregnant at 16, and it kind of was a little complicated, confusing, like I said, stressful. My journey kind of began when I was in sophomore year, and I didn't really have that many friends, only because I just kind of recently started going to that school full-time, and my boyfriend now, Jaden, he went there shared time. So the entire year I really didn't know who he was. I never heard of him. I never seen him in the hallways. Likewise with him, he's never ever seen me. So it was just like some coincidence, random, apparently God wanted it to happen, that he just decided to come along to our lunch table where me and my two friends sat, and he knew both of them, and I had no idea who he was. So I was like, what, what's this random kid coming over here anyway? So it was kind of like awkward, but like I don't know. So anyways, at the end of lunch, we both had a conversation with, he had one with one friend and I had it with Katrina, my best friend. Yes, I could say her name because she's my best friend. And we were both talking about how cute each other were and how we wanted to get to know each other at the same exact time. So when I realized that, I was like, wow, that's crazy, but also kind of cute. That's how we started to meet and start talking. I'm a very shy person, especially when it comes to meeting new people. I'm very extremely shy, and I'm not a big conversation starter. So when we were texting, it was just very kind of cute, simple, flirty, whatever. I remember when you're in high school, you have a boyfriend, you always meet in the hallways and always want to kiss each other, hug each other, or whatever, say your goodbyes for the next 42 minutes that you're gonna see them the next period or the next time in the hallway. That's what we did, literally. We were really big cliche on that part. For the first time, my friend Katrina really was encouraging us to be together. I don't know why. I guess something in her knew that we had to be together. I don't know. It took a lot of courage for me to even meet him in the hallways at first. And I remember Katrina was pulling me, dragging me in the hallway. My feet were literally sliding. It was that bizarre. But once we got comfortable with each other, it was all good. But at least the first or second day of me going onto my bus, Katrina was walking with us, and Katrina was really persuading us to kiss each other before I went and left to go home. At the time, I was just kind of this is feels too much, it just pressure, especially since she's pressuring us to do it. So I was no. We decided to hang out on Good Friday. We met the middle of March when Easter was, so 1 week after knowing each other, literally 1 week. Keep that in mind. I didn't want to hang out by myself with him at first, so my friend at the time, who is not my friend anymore, just want to make that clear, but she lives relatively close to him, and one of his friends also lives relatively close to him as well, because he lives 20 minutes away from me, so it's kind of a distance. So we all are hanging out, and we just decided to go for a walk around the block, taking cute pictures with the sunset and everything. It was really nice. So later, Jaden tries to persuade me to sleep over his house. And keep in mind, I was 16 and he was 15 at the time, so we were very childish and weren't really thinking things straight and clear, obviously. So our priorities at the time was not very responsible, obviously, and we were just lying and betraying everyone, especially our family, because I met his mom and I didn't even remember her name at the time. So to me, in my back of my head, I was oh, I don't really know these people, why should I care what they think? So I had to kind of lie to my mom, telling her that I was going to my friend Samantha's house, which obviously was not a good thing, and he just told his mom that I was going over to Samantha's house as well. Samantha was in on this whole arrangement and plan of me sleeping over his house secretly. I had to leave his house and then go in the backyard and hide out there until his parents went to bed. I know this sounds really bizarre and really bad. It's no excuse, but we were kids at the time, and our priorities at the time were obviously not straight. We were not thinking clearly at all. So then when they went to bed, I stuck into the house, slept over, and then obviously the whole point of me sleeping over was to do... Sorry, my phone died, so I had to like rearrange everything, and now I'm back. Okay, so what was I saying? Next morning, I had to pretend that I was like coming back into the house, not have been slept over. So I was like, oh hey, I just came back from Samantha's house. When I was at Jaden's house, my mom called me and she's like, oh, how's everything going, like where are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm still at Samantha's house. I hung up the phone and then she texts me and she's like, oh, why did I hear a guy's voice in the background? And I said, oh, that was Samantha's brother. I don't think she has a brother. I don't really know. I don't really care. I was just making up an excuse. And she fell for it, I guess. I don't know if she actually fell for it, but whatever. So fast forward, I go home that day later on. I don't remember when. But then Easter, which was this following Sunday, he comes over to my house to spend time with my family. So he brought flowers for my mom, which was really sweet. His mom met my mom, very brief. She went to go Easter with her family. Me and Jane just kind of hung in the basement, just hung out. We went to school. We held hands, kissed in the hallways, you know, the whole shebang that goes along with high school relationships. So right? Fast forward, I had this feeling that I could be pregnant because I missed my period by like 3-4 days. It wasn't even that much. But you know, me, I overreacted for 2 reasons. One, because like I'm a teenager, I did not want to be pregnant, but then also 2, because you know, for the attention, like all girls, people still do it who are in high school and they're like, oh, I think I could be pregnant, just to be talked about. That wasn't my case, but like yes, I kind of did like the attention at the time, but that was not the reason why I said that. So oh, I gotta reply. So I told my friends, like freaking out, like, oh my goodness, I could be pregnant, but like low-key, like probably not. But you know, I told my friends and they were like freaking out, like, oh my goodness, are you pregnant? Like, what are you gonna do if you are, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't know, I haven't even thought that far. So I thought of the idea, like we thought of the idea together, why don't we just go to a nurse, because I know some school nurses provide pregnancy tests, right? So we go to the school nurse and I was really nervous, so I had my friends come with me. And I was like, I feel like I could be pregnant. And she's like, oh, have you missed your period? And I was like, yeah. And she said, how many days? And I was like, I don't know, like 3-4. She said, oh, I would wait like another week. You probably aren't, but just wait a little bit more, because I didn't really know my period schedule at the time. I was like 16. I didn't really pay attention. My mom did. I'd always tell my mom, she'd mark on a calendar. That was never like my top priority, because I didn't really think I would be, you know, doing it. When she told me like, oh, just wait a week, I was like, no, like I need to know right now. I'm very impatient as it is when it comes to like stuff like this. I can be patient, but not when it comes to stuff like this. So I told Jaden. Jaden was already in the loop about all this of me thinking I am, and he didn't really like, it was such a blur. He didn't really say much. He wasn't like happy and he wasn't mad. He wasn't like, oh, like you better not be pregnant, get an abortion if you are, blah blah. But he wasn't also like, yeah, let's have a baby. Like it was just kind of neutral. He probably just thought I was crazy, which I am in some ways, and whatever. So I tell him like, oh, let's go get a test. So he comes over to my house and he rode his bike, I'm pretty sure, all the way to my house, which he has done before like, a couple times. And riding his bike from point A to point B takes like almost 3 hours, because we live 20 minutes away. I was like, okay, he must really want to see me and figure this all out. So I was like, okay, good, I'm on board, let's do this. I didn't have any money, he didn't really have any money, because we didn't have jobs. So my sister, my younger sister, I don't know how she had money, but she had money. I don't know how, but we asked her, we're like, oh, can we borrow money, because we want to get snacks and stuff, because we didn't tell her like why, obviously. And she gave us the money. I think we walked all the way to Walgreens, which is like a 40-minute walk. We walked there, we go into Walgreens. We decided to actually get like snacks and food. We didn't use the money to get a test, so I was just like, I might as well just steal it. So that's what I did. I stole 2 of them. We went into the Dunkin' Donuts right next door. I went into the bathroom. I took it. I didn't really know how to work these things because I'd never used one before. I like unwrap it, whatever, and I pee on it, and I'm like, I don't really know if I'm doing this right, because nothing was showing up. So I was like, okay, this is awkward. I walk out to Jaden and I'm like, okay, I don't really know if I'm using this right. I don't know really what to do. That's when I realized, I'm like looking at it, oh, there's a cap. So I'm like, okay, that's when I discovered the stick that everyone like talks about when you take a pregnancy test. I was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. I had the other pregnancy test still. I didn't use that at first because I had no more pee in me, so it was just not gonna happen. We're just like, okay, whatever, we'll just walk back to my house. And I remember I was very emotional on the way back to my house because I was just overwhelmed, like not really knowing if I was, like, what would I do, and we were just both like supporting each other. We were both scared because we're both young and teenagers. At the same time, we only knew each other for like, oh, at this point it was probably maybe like 2-3 weeks of knowing each other, like meeting each other. I went back to my house. I took the test when I had pee in me, so I took the test and it was negative. So I was like, yay, I'm not pregnant, right? My stupid self takes a picture of the test and sends it to Jade. At this time, both of our parents took our phones to monitor what we were doing, whatever, like we were teenagers, so I wasn't really like complaining. My mom didn't look through my phone, but she takes it away at night. She still does, so I'm not up all night on it. But Jaden's mom always like monitors his phone. So because of this, his mom saw it either that night or the next morning. When Jaden went to school, Jaden was like, yeah, my mom saw the picture. And I was freaking out because there's no way that my mom's gonna find out that I could be pregnant by his mom instead of me. His mom was like freaking out. She was like to Jaden, oh, why does she think she's pregnant? What is this? Like, you guys better not be having a baby. I tell my friends like, oh, the test was negative. So they were like, oh, okay, so I guess you're not pregnant. I was like, yeah, I guess not. Something inside me, just the feeling when you get pregnant, you have this feeling that you are. Even if you don't have any symptoms, you just kind of know. And at that point, I kind of felt like I was. Because I didn't really have any nausea. I just knew. I go home and I could not tell my mom right then and there, like, oh, I think I'm pregnant. It was just more me waiting for the right time. That night before, I asked her, oh, Mom, I have something really important to talk about. Can I tell you tomorrow morning? Like, can you wake me up extra early before my bus comes so we can talk about it? She said, yeah, okay. So that morning, I figured it was better to tell her in the morning so that way I could just go to school and, like, you know, whatever, like, let it be, instead of telling her at night and then going through the entire night knowing I told, like, yeah. So when I told her in the morning, just kind of hesitant because she was on one side of the kitchen and I was on the other side. Sorry, I have like makeup. So she was on one side of the kitchen and I was on the other side, and I just told her straight, I'm like, I think I could be pregnant. And she wasn't mad or sad. Oh, I didn't think you were that easy. So I kind of just brushed that off and was just like, oh, well, I've done it before, just so I could just like get out of that situation. My mom doesn't really know how to express her emotions as well as I do because I'm very sensitive and emotional. She didn't really like, she wasn't like yelling at me and she wasn't like crying or anything. It was just more of a disappointment because we come from like a religious family, so we were brought up to, you know, wait till marriage. Because of that, she was just more disappointed. She said, did you take a test? And I said, yeah, it came out negative. And she said, okay, well then I would say wait another 2 weeks to take it to like actually get like an accurate result. So then that's what we did. So the next 2 weeks was kind of a blur. I really don't remember what happened. So we waited the 2 weeks. It was either like a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. I took the test and it was positive. Yep, I was pregnant at 16. I didn't know what to make of it. I was kind of relieved only to know that like I knew I was and that I didn't have to keep anticipating on knowing whether or not I was. I was upset, but also relieved, like I said, to know what was going on with my body. I told my friends, oh yeah, I'm pregnant, and they were all like, oh my goodness, like what are you gonna do? And I was just like, I don't know, I'm just kind of taking things one step at a time. I told Jaden and he wasn't happy and he wasn't sad. Again, like it was just more like, okay, how are we gonna handle this situation? So he had to tell his mom, and his mom, let me tell you, his mom reacted the way that you would expect the daughter's mom to react. She was like upset, she was yelling, she was crying, she was very emotional, and I don't blame her. I mean, it's a lot to take when you hear a news like, oh, your son is going to be a dad soon. Like, that was very overwhelming, and I would be overwhelmed too. At the time, she was very angry, upset, just destroyed because she thought like the world was coming down in her eyes. She called my mom. My mom like I said, doesn't really express her emotions as well, doesn't really like know how to handle when people are expressing their emotions to her. When they were on the phone, his mom crying and distraught, she kind of was offended that like my mom wasn't showing that she was upset about the situation, so that kind of put like a bridge towards them. Not that they like hated each other, it was just like, I don't know. It was coming towards Jaden's birthday, which is like late April, and his dad, who lives in a different state, was going to come all the way to New Jersey to be here for his birthday. And then also because he heard the news, he was also wanting to like talk to my parents to discuss like the situation, because there's more to the story. It's personal, so I can't really explain it. Just know that like it was very serious and it had to be discussed. So that being said, they came to my house. It was my dad, my mom, and me at the table. His parents came to the table. I was like offended because he was like, no offense, but can this be an adult conversation? He said something like that. He was basically like pointing out I wasn't an adult, so he didn't want me at the table. Like, okay, yeah, I'll leave. I left. I went downstairs with like that's near my brother's room, and my brother and I at the bottom of the stairs kind of overhearing everything. Stuff they were saying, they were just basically kind of blaming it on me, blaming me for like Jaden lashing out. Let me just explain, he wasn't lashing out because he didn't want this kid or he was upset. He was more lashing out because his parents telling him like, you're not gonna have this kid, you're gonna be sent to live with his dad in a different state, and he just didn't want that. He wanted to be here for me and baby. It was just a bunch of roller coaster emotions. When we overheard them talking, I was crying because like they were talking so much shit about me that it was just breaking me down, because I thought that I was gonna be alone. And I remember that Jaden was left in the car, so I kind of like snuck outside to see if he could see me. I don't know if till this day I don't even know if he saw me. They left. This whole situation that I know a lot of people know about or think they know about, so I'm just gonna explain what happened. So then the next day, Jaden and I were like talking, and we were like, me and Jaden were good. We weren't like arguing or anything like that. We were like trying to support each other and be there for each other. His mom took his phone away because she didn't want him to have any contact with me, which was like kind of whatever. So he asked my phone because he wanted to listen to music, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he took my phone. Later that day, he got in an argument with his mom about his like behavior, which is like understandable, but Jaden, I don't know why. This is the breaking point of how everything kind of went like really downhill. So Jaden decides to run away. Where does he decide to go to? My house, obviously. But let me explain how that all happened. Since he had my phone, he went to Samantha's house. I don't know if you remember from the beginning, Samantha's house, to charge my phone because apparently it was dying. And he called me, or he texted me from my younger sister's phone, so I was kind of up to date with like him getting in an argument with his mom. And I didn't really think he was like running away. I wasn't really aware of like what was going on, just him getting in a fight with his mom. So he decides to like ride his bike. Later on, his mom called my mom saying, "Cindy better tell me where my son is, and if she knows where he is and is not going to say anything, then there's going to be issues." Basically kind of like low-key threatening me, more like high-key threatening me, which is, at the time, I can't stress this enough, at the time I thought that she was legit crazy, and I was just like, what is your issue? But now that I'm thinking about it, now that I have a son, okay, I understand where she was coming from, and I understand that emotion and being overwhelmed by his son potentially running away. Because of that, I understand why she did what she did. Back to the story. So he's riding his bike. I don't know where he is, because after his mom called me, I talked to my mom, I was like in a panic because I was like, Jaden, where are you? What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm running away. I'm just too upset. Like, no one understands how much I want to be with you. And I was trying to relax, like calm down Jaden, but he just was not having it. It was like getting late, and like I said, it takes like almost 3 hours to ride his bike to my house, and his mom was like worrying like crazy. She decides to call the cops, which at the time I'm like, girl, what is you doing? But now I'm like, okay, yeah, I keep doing that. But she calls the cops for like a missing runaway child. My sister and I trying to figure out like, oh, if Jaden's gonna come to my house, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna like sneak him into the house? Like, where is he gonna stay? And we like kind of basically figured it all out, and then we were like, oh wait, the cops are coming. So like our plan was like, okay, that's not gonna happen. The cops come to our house and they're like, oh, there's a report of a missing child or a runaway child that could be potentially coming here. I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what to do. And they're like, oh, call him. I'm like, he has my phone, I don't have my phone on me. My mom tells me to call my phone with her phone, and I do multiple times. And I guess since my mom's number is under mother, he didn't want to answer it because he knew it was my mom's number. After a couple of times, we finally reach him, and I'm like, Jaden, where are you? Like, you need to come home. He was like, I don't know where I am. I'm in the woods. It's really dark. And this time it was like 9 o'clock p.m. at night. So he was saying that my phone, the phone that I gave him, was gonna die. So we were like in a rush to find, like, kind of figure out where he was. So my mom has found my iPhone connected to my phone, so we did that, and it said that my phone was at home. So my mom and the cops were kind of like accusing me of like lying to them and thinking that like Jaden was in the house and I wasn't telling them where. They were like looking through the house and he wasn't there, obviously, because I didn't do that. Fast forward, they finally find him, and there's like a church near my house, and he was in like those woods, because I told him a while ago like, oh, I had like this secret spot that like I go to just like think and relax, and that's where he was, like in that location. They bring him back and they're like, we found him, like he's a good kid, like he doesn't mean any harm, he's just really stressed about his parents. And I was like, yeah, I know all this. When the cop tells us that like, oh, he's here, I ask him, oh, can I talk to him? He has my phone. And they're like, yeah, sure. So I walked up to the police car, and he's like in the back of the police car. So I was like kind of worried. I was like, Jaden, are you okay? And he said, yeah, I guess. And I was like, do you think you're gonna go to school tomorrow? And he's like, I don't think so. And I was like, okay, are you, like, do you need anything? Like, are you gonna be okay? And he's like, I don't know what's gonna happen. And I was like, can I have my phone back? Because that's all I cared about. Just kidding. So he gives me my phone back. I went inside my house and was just kind of much more relaxed knowing where he was. So then the next day at school, he didn't show up, which I wasn't surprised about because that whole thing just happened last night. But then the next day he still didn't show up, and then that's when I was kind of getting worried. I was like, okay, what's going on? I was just like really alone and empty and didn't really know what to do or what to think, because I didn't really have that much friends. I had a bunch of friends because, you know, when you get pregnant, everyone wants to be your friend because they want to know the inside scoop of what's going on, and just pretend that like, oh yeah, I'm friends with a pregnant girl, like yeah, that's me, like I see you, I see right through you, okay? Just letting all those people know who think I didn't. So there was a lot of people, I guess, comforting me on the situation, but I just kind of felt really alone because I was just like, none of these people care about me. They don't. In the hallway, I'm like walking to get a drink of water, and one of my math teachers comes up to me and they're like, oh, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Why? And she legit just blunt out said, Jaden is transferring schools. And I like looked at her and I immediately started crying, and I hugged her and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this alone. I was like really upset because, one, I was like, why is she telling me this? And two, I can't believe this is actually happening. My absolute favorite teacher, she comes up to me, and I could see that she was annoyed that the teacher told me, because like I don't think she was supposed to tell me. So we go to my case manager, me and my math teacher, the person that told me that Jaden was transferring schools. We go to my case manager, and she's like, Sydney, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? And I said, Jane, like, I'm crying. Like, Jaden's transferring schools. How do you know this? Like, are you sure he is? And I was like, yeah, she told me. My case manager asked me to leave the room. And I kind of figured it was because she wanted to talk to my math teacher, because she wasn't really allowed to say that because it's, like, student confidentiality or whatever. And During this entire time, I was texting his mom like in frustration because I was like, what the fudge is wrong with you? Like, why would you send your son away who's going to have a child? And she was like kind of saying like, oh, like you better be having an abortion and all this stuff. And I was like, what? She was just crazy. But I was crazier. So it was just us fighting against each other was not a good thing. So we were like discussing back and forth, and I kept like pointing out, trying to get her annoyed, saying like, oh, how could you send your son away? Why would you do this to your son? Like, you think this is best for your son? Like, just to try and like make her more mad, and also to make her realize like what she's doing. And she was like fighting back with me, obviously, too. She was just telling me like, oh, you can't tell me what to do with my son, and which is true, but like at the time, like I said, I was a child and wasn't really thinking straight. I was emotional, I was pregnant. My mind was just more focused on Jaden being here for our baby. That was like literally my only priority, and everyone else was making that like extremely hard. I confirmed that like, yes, he is transferring. They already transferred his papers to the new school to live with his dad, and everything was like basically all set. I remember my friends were helping me fight back, stand up for myself. These friends weren't really like my friends, but at that point I wanted I'd rather have fake friends than have no one at all, because at that point I was all alone. Since I didn't even have Jaden, I was just all alone and didn't really know how to deal with anything. So just having at least a couple fake friends was better than having none. And I know that now that is completely not true, and I'd rather have no friends than fake friends. But like I said, I was young and didn't really understand the world. So I went home. I didn't really explain to my mom what happened, like me arguing with his mom, but I told one of my older sisters, and she told my mom, so my mom was kind of up to date. So I was like, Mom, I can't go to work, like I'm too upset, like I don't think I'll be able to. I feel like I'll just be crying the entire time. And she was just basically saying like, oh, well, if you work, then you're gonna get your mind off of things. At that time I worked at a salon, and I was like, no, but whatever. I was forced to go to work. I was an assistant, so I just shampooed hair, did laundry, helped out the stylist when they needed it. When I went to work, no one at work knew about this. Like, no one knew I was pregnant or issues I was going through. My sister did, because she did work with me. I went into work, and every chance I got, I would go into the laundry room and just start crying, because every time I thought about him, or every time I thought about how effed up the situation was, I would go in the laundry room and just start crying. I would miss hearing his voice. He sent me a voicemail like saying he loves me and he wants to be there for us. That's what I just kept listening to on repeat, just to like hear his voice, because at that point I didn't have any contact with him. He didn't have his phone. I didn't know where he was. I didn't know if he was okay. None of that. So I always was just going back into the laundry room crying, and then come back out, shampoo another client's hair, go back in the laundry room and cry. Like, literally that's what I did that entire day. And it was just really upsetting for me, and I don't really think anyone can understand that unless you go through that. Since I had no communication, literally our last resort was emailing each other. Even then we got caught or whatever, and we weren't even allowed to do that. And his stepmom and his dad were attacking me, like I said, because of a lot of other reasons, but just mainly blaming me for this entire situation, which obviously was not just my fault. Me and Jane were emailing each other, and this can kind of get like TMI, but one of the emails I stated I have like an infection down there. I think it's a STD, and you must have given me this STD because I don't know how else I would have gotten it. And at the time, I am a hypochondria, so every time there's something wrong with me, I look up what all the possible cases could be, even if it's like cancer or like anything literally bizarre. I was like assuming it was an STD, which in conclusion it was a yeast infection, because it's very common for pregnant women, so that's what I had. But I stated that like, oh, I don't know what it is, but it could be this, and if it is, then you must have given it to me. And his mom read that, and they were both all like flipping out, because they're all of a sudden like trying to get the blame off Jaden. They're like, oh, well, if you have an STD, Jaden's clean, so then you must be pregnant with someone else. And I was just like, okay, first of all, that's not what I said. I remember I was at my lake house and I was like on the phone with them, crying and screaming at them. I'm like, you guys are not understanding. Like, you guys, this is not my fault. Like, please listen to me. Like, let's get this cleared out. And they just did not want to have it. They were like kind of even making Jaden believe that like, oh, if I have this STD, then this must be someone else's child. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, oh my God, what? So since that all happened, I finally like was able to clear my name and like make them understand what the heck, why I said that stuff and what the truth was. And they just still really disliked me at the time. My back is like killing me. So what was I saying? I don't even remember what I was saying. After that happened, his stepmom personally texted me and we were like texting about the whole situation and a bunch of other stuff. We were kind of both calmer, I guess. And I asked, can I have communication with Jaden, like a phone call, something? And she said maybe in a week. So I was like, okay, I can wait a week. No, I can't, but I will if I have to. So that's what happened. After the week passed, Jaden was able to call me from his house phone and we were talking, and we were just really happy that we were even able to talk on the phone. We did that for a while, and then like we were able to text each other. I remember one of the times Jade, it was really weird because it kind of was like, I think I'm gonna be staying here for another 2 years. And I was like, what do you think about that? And he said, it's okay, guess it's like what's best for me. And I was like, so me and the baby mean nothing to you? And he said, no, it's not that. We ended the conversation and I said, okay, I love you. He said, okay, love you too. But how it was spelled out, it was L-U-V, U, the letter U, and then the number 2. And I kind of just like played it off. I was like, okay. And the next morning, Jaden calls me and I was like, hey Jaden, was that you texting me last night about like you staying there for another 2 years and being okay with it? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I explained the entire conversation again. He was like, that was not me. And I was like, okay, well then someone else must have texted me. He said, oh, it was probably his stepmom. Great. And I was like, okay, wow, that's really weird. It was like whatever, it was in the past, and I kind of knew it wasn't him because he doesn't say I love you too in response like that. During the summer, I did go to camp, which I've been going to this camp for like 5 years now. So it was my last year and I really wanted to go to camp, but since I was pregnant, I was like, oh, I probably won't be able to go to camp. They were really understanding, and since I was like a good camper, like I didn't really cause any trouble or anything, they let me go to camp because I was only like 3 months pregnant at the time, which I didn't really participate in like the big activities, but like I was able to see all my friends again and the counselors, be able to experience all that one last time. So that was a lot of fun and I'm really grateful for that. The counselors knew I was pregnant. The campers, I didn't really tell anyone, only because I just didn't want anyone to judge me, I guess. But after camp, everyone found out because like everyone connected on social media and then they found out through there. Yeah, so then fast forward, me and his mom were having a lot of conversation, arguments and difficulties because he left at the end of April after his birthday. He just left school, so literally for the rest of the school year I was just by myself. There was this girl, I'm not gonna name her name. We had a lot of issues, all such a blur. I don't even know what issues we had. And a couple of days before school ended, she pushed me in the hallway and I was pushed against the wall, and then she just started calling out all these nasty names, saying fucking whore, bitch, like literally saying like, oh, you're fucking pregnant. Like, yeah, I know that. I was trying to stay like really strong to just prove to people that like I'm not gonna let people get to me, but like what she did and what she said really pushed me to the limit. I started crying. Everyone was trying to like help me out. No one could understand what it's like to be pregnant at such a young age unless you go through it. That was probably the only time I actually really got bullied for being pregnant. I know a lot of people say a lot of comments behind my back, but like up front to me, that was the only incident where I actually felt physically and verbally attacked for being pregnant. Afterwards, I called Jaden telling him what happened. He wished that he could have been there to be able to defend me and do something, but he was thousands of miles away, and I don't think anyone can understand how to deal with that emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, it was a lot for me. Like, I was pregnant alone, me thinking that Jaden was never going to come back, and me thinking that, like, oh, everyone hates me. Like, I was having issues with my family that no one understood either. And just all of that on top of me while I was pregnant at 16. Like, you can only understand that when you go through it. It's not a fun feeling at all. Like, being pregnant was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the first time. And I think that's why everyone was questioning whether it was planned or not, because first of all, like, can we all like think, like, okay, I know not everyone knows this, which is why I'm sharing this story. I knew this kid for a week and we had sex, and that's how I got pregnant. And obviously we didn't use protection. I was not on any birth control, so that's why it was so easy for me to get pregnant. We were just not thinking clearly. It was in the moment. I know everyone always says that, but we were teenagers. We didn't know what we were doing, why we were doing it. We were thinking more down there than up here. For everyone that thought that it was planned, it was not planned. And people thought it was even more planned because I wasn't upset and angry. I want to explain to everyone, I'm not going to be upset and angry my entire pregnancy, my first pregnancy that I'll ever have and experience, because, like, what's the point of that? Like, why would I want to be miserable the entire time? Yes, it's not how I wanted it to be. It's not the right time and age for it to happen. It wasn't the time for me at my most responsible and mature self. But, like, I'm not gonna waste that precious, like, time being angry and upset about it. I took it for what it was. And obviously, if this is what God wanted to happen, then it happened. I don't regret anything. Fast forward, he was in North Carolina for literally 4 months in a different state while his girlfriend's pregnant. How we, I guess, coped with that or dealt with that, we decided to have journals that we'd write about our feelings and emotions about what we were going through, because obviously we couldn't talk to each other every single day or explain everything that we wanted to in, like, a single phone call or a single text. Sorry, my back is hurting. We planned that when we were gonna see each other, we were gonna, like, exchange them, and, like, that way we could able to, like, read what they were going through at that time. We'd be able to hold on to them and be able to look at them back later in the future. I looked at mine the other day and I was like, wow, that's crazy that, like, that's where we were and this is where we are now. After a while, his mom wanted him back home because, one, she missed him, and two, like, she, I guess, wanted to make things right. I don't really know what was going through her head. I can't speak for her. She did want to have a conversation in person about how we're gonna do this and what's gonna happen and expectations. I didn't want to go by myself, so I had one of my older sisters come with me. We met up at the mall in, like, a quiet area, and we just talked about everything. Literally, we explained why we did what we did, why we said what we did. I still don't understand why she sent him. I don't think I ever will, but now that all that has passed, I'm not mad at her. We also apologized to each other, which was, like, a really big thing that we had to, like, overcome to, like, be able to move forward. She cried, I cried, my sister even cried. I think she cried. I don't remember if she cried. We also discussed about my mom and the way that she is, and we just came to the conclusion that that's just how she is and she's not going to change. She doesn't mean to hurt anyone by, like, not being able to express her emotions as well or be able to reciprocate the emotions. That was one step that she said, if Jaden's gonna come back, we'd have to talk in person, which I'm glad we did, because we were actually able to, like, move forward, which was the most important part. This was in August. I told her that the day I'm gonna find out whether or not our son was a boy or girl was August 22nd. And now I'm thinking about it, he was born December 22nd and we found out August 22nd. So I thought that was pretty cool. I just realized Jaden was able to come back a couple days before that. He wanted to surprise me. It didn't really go as planned because we were in a really weird state of emotions because we haven't seen each other in, like, 4 months, almost 5 months of not seeing each other. He didn't really surprise me because he, like, pulled through the driveway and my sister saw, and she was like, oh, there's a weird car out here. And then I look outside and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's Jaden. So I start freaking out and I'm like, okay, I look like disgusting. So I went upstairs, tried to change something. It was like cute, but then also showed off my bump because I really wanted him to see like how big I've gotten. I went downstairs. What I was wearing did not impress me. Even I don't know what I was thinking. Just like kind of anxious and nervous to like see him again. I didn't actually think it was gonna happen. So I go downstairs and I go in my backyard because we were all eating outside in the backyard. He comes through the door and he comes to the backyard. It was the most awkwardest thing ever, and we laugh about it because we were like, what the heck was that? He comes into the backyard and my family is like outside eating. I get up and I'm like, oh wow, like you're here, and I like give him a side hug, not even a hug, I give him a side hug. He always jokes about this to me, but like think about it. He comes back surprising us, and my whole family didn't hate him, but they very strongly disliked him because I got pregnant. And we never really like, no one ever really talked to him about like the whole situation, so it was just really awkward. He left, went to his house, and it was really nice of his mom to like drop him off to say hi to me. 2 days after, we go to my ultrasound appointment. I was really excited because it was like the first one he was gonna go to, and it was the day that we were gonna find out whether or not our child is gonna be a boy or a girl. His mom asked if she can go with, and I was like, yeah, sure. Even though I thought it was gonna kind of be awkward because my mom was gonna come too. It was us four in the waiting room, and it was like really awkward because me and my mom were sitting at one end. Him and his mom came in like later, and so I was like, oh mom, I'm gonna go sit by them really quick just to talk. And then I finally get called in to go get my ultrasound, and Jaden is in there with me. Like he stayed in there for like a while to like see everything and see how everything's going on because like I said, it was his first ultrasound appointment. And then they finally tell us like, yay, we're having a boy, and we were like both really excited. And then my mom comes in, and I'm pretty sure Jaden told her what it was, which was like whatever, but she comes in and she like checks out everything and she's happy. And then his mom asked to come in. His mom comes in, and that was kind of awkward only because like we just had that conversation about like the whole thing, so it was kind of still a little bit weird about how everything went. But she was able to see it, and then Jaden came back in again, and then we all left, said our goodbyes. We did hang out a couple times before that, before school started, so our connection kind of like grew more because like I said, when he came to surprise me, like it was just completely weird because the connection was just like on a big long pause. We were able to hang out, and that kind of just made everything better. But this entire time I was still having issues at home because my sisters and my brother was like just not accepting Jaden, and that kind of stressed me out even more because I just wanted everyone to just be happy. Yeah, I'm pregnant and I'm 16 years old, but like I just wanted everyone to just be happy. I didn't tell anyone what I was having until school came, and a couple days before that, with my other best friend Gianna, my childhood best friend, we decided to get our nails done, and I'm like, I'm gonna paint my nails blue so people can kind of, you know, like get that like, oh yeah, I'm having a boy. So then the first day of school comes, and I'm like, okay, I gotta find an outfit where it could show off my belly and also like look cute. So I decided to wear this like green army dress, and it was like, no. But I can't go back in time. It was cute, but it was just like whatever. My hair looked cute. It was like short and curled, and I did have black hair at the time because I always change my hair color, but since I was pregnant I couldn't do that. Also, I want to know that in the beginning of my pregnancy, when I met Jaden, my hair was blonde, and then 3 days later I decided to dye my hair blue. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I had to dye it back to black. I gotta like make my hair like more natural color, so I decided to put brown over my blue hair, which made it turn army green, which was like kind of cute, but I had to change it back to black, so I just put black over it, and then yeah, I had black hair. That's just a little side note. The first day of school was like kind of weird because my first period of class was biology, and like I said, I didn't really have that many friends. I kind of kept to myself, so I just like sat by myself in the corner. In the beginning, I was put into a different biology class, and in that biology class was the girl who pushed me in the hallway. The teachers were concerned because they did remember what happened at the end of the year prior towards summer. I never really said anything. I didn't really say I had an issue with being in the same class as her. I did kind of feel uncomfortable, but I didn't verbally explain that I had an issue. But later that day, I see that my schedule changed. I asked about it and they said it's because they didn't feel that it was right to put me and her in the same class. I had Jaden, so I was a lot more comfortable with like being pregnant at school, I guess, and the teachers knew what was going on. They were very like understanding. If like, oh, I had to go to the bathroom, I can go when I wanted to. I was like 5 months pregnant, so I was like showing a lot and baby was kicking. So then the school year went by, and in September is my birthday, and I was gonna celebrate my 17th birthday. I really wanted this birthday to be very memorable because I felt like to me it was my last like birthday as being a child. I wanted to invite all my childhood friends I didn't really go to school with anymore. I wanted to invite them, and then some of my friends that go to my school now, to my little birthday dinner, which was at Grand Lux, my favorite restaurant ever. And that was like literally the best birthday ever because I love going to school, so everyone could say happy birthday to me. I did get my nails done and I went to school later, and I had balloons and everyone was saying happy birthday to me. And I think they really cared more because I was pregnant and they felt bad for me, but like I didn't really care because it was my birthday and I just wanted all the attention on me. Jaden really made it feel special. That was probably my favorite birthday ever. Fast forward, I had my baby shower planned by one of my older sisters, my mom, and one of my best friends, Gianna. Me and Gianna always like wanted to have a gender reveal, which never really happened because just the timing and rushing everything was just like not happening. So we had a baby shower, which was a lot of fun. So grateful. But I do want to note that before I had my baby shower, I told my mom like, oh mom, I'm gonna have a baby shower, and she was like kind of hesitant. She was like, oh, who's planning this baby shower? And I was like, oh, my older sister. I'm not gonna say her name, but one of my older sisters. And she said, oh, okay. It was more due to the fact that she thought I was having a baby just to like dress him up and stuff. Like that wasn't obviously the only reason why I wanted to have a shower. It was my first pregnancy and I was not going to let this go like bad and make me regret it all. That was a lot of fun, and all my friends were there, my family was there to support me. And then later on I had a baby shower from my job that I worked at, and at this point obviously they knew that I was pregnant because I couldn't hide it anymore because I was showing a lot. They were also very supportive. A few of the stylists knew I was pregnant. Like they came up to me and they're like, are you pregnant? I was like, yeah, how do you know? I started crying because I'm emotional as it is, and being pregnant made me even more emotional. They all helped me through it. They were all very understanding because some of them had kids younger too. So I was just like surrounded by people that loved and supported me, and now it's like literally the main thing you need to get you through all of this. I had my baby shower in November. I was freaking out because I wanted it all planned and done and situated before I had Zachary, because God forbid if I had Zachary a little bit earlier, I might have not made my baby shower. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad everything went smoothly. And Jaden was still coming to all the doctor's appointments with me and my ultrasounds, and that was just a lot of help and just support on me, making me feel like I wasn't doing this alone was a lot of help. And then the day came when our son Zachary Ian Monero was born on December 22nd. It was like the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. I'm not going to get into detail on that because a lot of stuff happened to have Zachary born, which I'll explain in my labor and delivery story if you guys are interested. He was born and it was like amazing. It was still kind of stressful afterwards because everyone was still not accepting the fact that, you know, like Jaden got me pregnant. Jaden's mom and my siblings and everything was still kind of chaotic. But once Zachary was born, everyone was so happy. Everyone came to visit me, and honestly, that's all I wanted was just love and support because I didn't want to feel like I was doing this alone. I don't want to cry. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who was there for me from the beginning to the end and continuing this journey with me. I did lose a couple of my like best friends who I never thought I'd lose, but I did lose them. I felt like I lost the friends I thought I was gonna have forever and gain the ones that I never would have imagined being my friends. But I'm so happy that some of my old friends have stuck by me, whether it was from afar, supported me, or defended me, because I know a lot of people made a lot of comments about me who didn't even know me. But I'm glad to the friends that stuck up for me and supported me. Even if you weren't my friend, thank you again. I'm so blessed. Me and his family are so good. Like, we've all moved past it and we just all learned to just love each other and realize that, you know, it's not about us, it's about Zachary, and that's like our main priority, is just making sure he grows up a good and healthy life surrounded by his family. And I know a lot of people who watched my Instagram live when I was like preparing to have Zachary, people made jokes and comments, but a lot of people did stick up for me, and that's what's most important, is the positive people, not the negative people. And in conclusion, I hope you guys liked my pregnant at 16 story. I mainly put this out for people to just realize the reality of being a teen mom, and also just to clear up everyone who assumed a lot of things about me. I know a lot of people were interested in this because there's a lot of rumors, especially about Jaden talking to other girls and stuff like that, which some of those rumors were true, but me and Jaden are so past it. High school's done, so we're just kind of wanting to move on with our lives, be there for Zachary, because that's the most important thing, is Zachary. So for all those haters, me and Jaden are good. There's still a lot of issues we have to deal with. It's nothing that we can't overcome together. I just hope people can learn from this, whether you're going through this or about to go through this. People who may not think that this could happen to you, it can. It happened to me within a week. If you have any family members going through this, all you could do is just support them, because you don't know what they're going through inside, and it can be very dark and lonely, especially if you have no one there for you. So just keep that in mind. If you know anyone, a friend, family member, anyone, just give them a helping hand and try and be as supportive and understanding as possible. But again, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you guys made it to the end of the video. I know it was very long. I just wanted to express the love that I have for everyone who have been there for me since day one. Sorry, I keep repeating that. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn your post notifications on as well. Please no negative comments, because they will be deleted, only because I just want positivity on this channel. I have a lot more videos coming for you guys, and I'm so excited. I have sit-down videos, and also vlogs are gonna like show you guys what it's like to be a teen mom, and just the struggles and also the joy and happiness that comes along with it. Give this channel love and support. Please share this with your friends. Everyone have a beautiful morning, evening, good nights, midnight snack time. Whenever you're watching this, just have a good one. Thank you guys. Mwah.